From the podium live, giving you an inside look at some of the best football coaches and players around the world. If you're an athlete or coach trying to play anywhere in the world, make a free account today at the Podium website. I'll actually put the link right here for you guys. Just click on there, go down, create a website, a profile if you like to play American football anywhere in the world. Okay, today I'm your host, Vincent Purvis, football ambassador from Texas, living in Finland, talking about football with different players and coaches all around the world. Shout out to anybody out there who's balling anywhere in the world and using it to travel the world and experience different cultures. Today's guest is actually going to be one of those guys who's been traveling and playing in different countries around the world, Coach John Alexander Booker. What's going on, Coach? How you doing today?
Everything is good, man. I got to get you to stop using my full governmental name like that. I got to change my Facebook or something.
I literally thought that's what you wanted because everywhere it says John Alexander Booker. So I'm like, obviously he wants people to say his full name.
Nah, it's all good. No worries. Everything's good, man. I'm glad to be on.
All right, man. We're just going to talk a little bit. Coach Booker, you're now in Turkey, but before we even get into what your new endeavor is, let's rewind a little bit. Last season, you were actually coaching in Finland with the Vasa Royals out in Vasa in the northern part of Finland. Tell us a little bit about how it was going into Finland and taking that team to his first ever Maple Bowl championship game.
Well, for starters, Seppo, I'm not going to even butcher his last name, Everware. I think that's how you say it. He's built a great program out there. So going to the team, there was already a strong culture in place. There was already a sense of work ethic. They had already won on the lower level. So one of the hardest things about coaching is building a winning mentality. And so going there knowing that they already had that was a huge positive. And so last year was more of taking the team to the next level. Going to the Maple League is one thing. Making the playoffs in the Maple League is another thing. And then to actually make it to the championship is another thing. And then winning, as we showed last year, we weren't quite there yet, So basically making sure that we were detail-oriented. I think in the lower division, the team was really used to running over everybody, just overpowering everyone. And when you got up against the better teams like the Helsinki Roosters or Hämeenlinna Huskies, you weren't just running over everybody. And it became more of detailing the schematics and putting in the extra work to get those things done. So what we did last year is I was the only coach, which was kind of crazy and stressful. I think I'm still not fully recovered from last season. But what we did last year, we just kind of divided the team into their position groups. Everybody had meetings to review practice film, review game film, all that other stuff. And the guys put in all the necessary work to improve from a 500 team the year before to I think we were 10-4 or something like that this year. I forget our exact record, but playing against the Roosters in the Maple Bowl. And so I think that team has a bright future. Definitely weren't at the championship level this year, but in the future, that's the last step they have to take now is to get to that, to win the championship.
Well, that's awesome. You definitely had a great impact on that organization, and I know they only give high praises of you. But I guess we're gonna move on to a little bit about the history of John Alexander Booker. I mean John Booker. Oh yeah, your full name, right?
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
So Coach Booker, you've been around the block. I know personally you spent time in Brazil and Slovakia or Slovenia. Slovakia, right? Tell us a little bit about your journeys. Like, how did you end up being one of those guys that is out here in Europe, South America, back in the States, all around the world, coaching and playing American football?
Well, in my background, I've been an athlete my entire life, and I've always kind of never really been comfortable with being classified as just an athlete. Like when people say, this is my friend, he plays football, it's always awkward for me because I'm so much more than just a football player or a football coach. And over time, I started to work with kids, and I really enjoyed kind of helping develop younger people and those type of things. And as I played abroad, it became apparent that I kind of had a love for coaching people in the same way I was working with kids back in the States, not calling like the domestic players over here in Europe like kids, but football wise, a lot of times they are like children in terms of their knowledge of the game and their ability to execute technique consistently. So I kind of, as I was playing, I developed a love for traveling. I developed a love for helping people improve, and there's some relationships that football that are really unique and really special. And so before I came abroad, I was working, 40, 50 hours a week. I had been done playing for me. So I went Coach Rams actually as a player. I don't know what year that was, 2012, 2013, something like that. And kind of got my taste for being outside of America. And since then, I've never really, I don't want to say I don't want to go back. We don't have to get into the political landscape of our country right now, but let's just say I'm very satisfied with coaching abroad and the impact I'm able to have with teams in terms of developing culture in the football and also developing like winning traditions within teams.
All right, Coach. So we're going to go a little bit more into your background as well, because you've been in a lot of different places. Tell us a little bit about the cultural aspect. Of course, the football is the main reason you're there, and you said you enjoy teaching people. But what about, just adapting to different cultures, and how are you treated in some of these countries compared to others?
Yeah, adapting is the key word that you said. You have to be a chameleon, basically, because Finns are extremely different than Brazilians, and Brazilians are extremely different than Turkish guys, and Slovaks are different. Italians are different. Each country has their own culture, but the real cool thing about football, you hear coaches say this all the time, that football teaches you a lot of life lessons. And if you look at football in each country, the status of that league or the structure of the ball being played there usually reflects the culture of that country in general. You look at Germans, they're known for being highly efficient, German engineering and all that good stuff. And you look at their league, it's efficient, it's well organized. The teams are high caliber, the culture reflects it. And not to knock any other places I've been, in some lesser developed countries, the leagues are the same way. They're less developed. Teams are less willing to work with each other for the greater good. People are more focused on trying to better themselves instead of build up the entire league. And so you see that in Finland, I had to adjust. I came from Brazil before Finland. And in Brazil, I could yell at a guy and they're going to get excited. I could yell at a guy, hey, da, 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 and the guy's like, yeah, coach, let's go. In Finland, less words are more. If I yelled at a guy in Finland, it's more of like, what's this guy's deal? What's coach's tripping? What's wrong with him? And so it took me a while to adjust to that. The guys are just as passionate in Finland as they are in Brazil. They just express it much differently. The more words you use, the less they're going to listen. You have to be very straight to the point with my Finnish guys. And once I learned that, I was able to reach them much easier. And we got kind of on the same page. In Turkey, so far, the culture here is also very special. The guys here, you kind of have to show them. They're really smart guys, and you have to give them examples and really explain to them why it works, because they're why guys. And everyone who's been in international football, you have your why guys. In America, a coach says do this, you just shut up and do it. In Europe, a lot of people don't play sports organized as a team until they're adults, especially in American football. You have soccer, you have hockey, and other things. But in America, we're playing sports on teams since we're 4 or 5 years old, and we have that discipline of a coach says something, you follow it.
Oh, man. Something happened to John's internet. Looks like he's off the line right now. Bear with us for a moment as I try to figure out exactly where he is and how to get him back. Internet's difficult out here in Europe. You'll find that out as well. Different places have different connections, I'm in Finland. He's in Turkey, so our connection isn't always going to be great. So right now, that's what it is. Sending him a message to see if he could get back on. But I don't really have any words to say to fill the time because I was letting Coach Booker tell us about the different countries he's been in and the differences of them. I know that he spent a lot of time in Brazil and Slovakia for sure, so he's a little bit more accustomed with those people. But recently he was in Finland and he's been in Turkey and now he's back in Turkey. So he's definitely got a very good base of knowing the differences between the cultures. And I was actually going to ask him which one he considers the best country that he's been in, if he would get back online. I guess y'all can just look at me for now until he gets back. Back?
Yeah.
You were gone. I don't know what happened. I've been just sitting here talking.
Nothing changed on my screen. It was crazy. But anyways, are we back on?
Yeah, we're back on.
Yeah, but just to summarize, like here with the Y guys, I don't know where it cut off, but I was explaining the guys here, they really want to know why you're telling them to do this. So it challenges my ability to teach and the depth, and it's making me a better coach, actually, because I really have to explain why do you take this step here? And then once they understand the why, they execute it at a much better level because they believe in it because they understand it. And so that's one thing I've already learned and improved as a coach here is the why is also very important.
All right, so here's the tricky question, Coach. What country is your favorite, both for football and living in? Like, which country, if today I was like, look here, Coach Booker, you get one place to go, you got to live there for the rest of your life, and you got to, of course, be involved with football, but you can retire when you're like 70, like most football coaches do. Which country would it be, man? Where are you going, and why?
Right now, it's an easy one for me. My favorite city in Europe is Vienna, so I would choose Austria. I like the way they play football there. Their focus there is to build up the domestic players. They do a really good job with coaching in terms of even teams on the lower level have a full coaching staff. They really invest in youth programs. The only negative is coaching in Austria right now is there's two monsters. There's two monsters in Austria, and if you're not coaching one of those monsters, you got an uphill battle in knocking off Swarco Raiders or Vienna Vikings. But, I mean, that's why we coach, to develop teams to get to that elite level. So if I had to choose somewhere to retire and coach, let's say the next 10, 15 years, it would be Austria.
Awesome, Coach. So now let's get back into what you're doing now. You're in Turkey. You're with the Koç Rams. What's the off-season plan like for you guys right now? I mean, a lot of teams are doing training. Some teams are doing more mental compared to physical training. What's your agenda going on right now?
So our setup is a little more complicated than most places in Europe. In Turkey, there's a university league that we're going to start playing in the next 3 weeks, I believe. They're going to announce the schedule this week, and we'll know who we're playing. But we'll play 3 games before our pro team even starts practicing. But some of our university players are national team players. So we have some of our best players that are still going to coach university and are still eligible to play on the university team. And so right now it's trying to find a way to help those guys have a real off season so that they're able to lift weights and get their body stronger. But also they're in season right now. So they only had about 3 months of off season where everybody else gets about 6. And so basically being able to rest certain guys in practice or figuring out the best way to keep them healthy all the way until June, which is when they're going to be playing. And, they may play about 16 games. And so really taking care of those guys is one of our main focuses right now. Our pro team, which is the adults, they're going to start practicing November 19th. So their off-season program started in August where they're lifting on their own. Istanbul is a huge city, so we have some guys that may come from, 80 kilometers away, 3 hours to come and practice with us. And so we don't want them to do that year round. So training here in Saudi Arabia, which is the city we're located in within Istanbul, is only November 19th, and then they'll be here 3 times a week doing mobility, functionality, and then some football technique and conditioning. And then they lift weights on their own 3 times a week. So right now our guys are working 3 times a week, and just let me think, 2 more weeks. We'll get them going 5 times a week. And so everyone's kind of busting their tail to be at a top level here.
One thing I kind of wanted to know, what is your offensive and defensive philosophy going to be like with this new team? Are you planning on just doing your strategy and hoping that they fit? Or are you going to adjust your playbook for the new players?
No, I mean, for me, offensively, we have a Turkish offensive coordinator who's running a system that they had last year. So I'll just basically have some input on what we do, how we can do things better, or how we could do things differently. And then obviously, you have to find out we have an American quarterback, John Rock. We'll see what he does well and how he fits into the equation. And basically, football is just maximizing your ability. Based on Finland last year, you would think I'm an air raid, throw the ball every play type of coach, but I'm not. I prefer to run the ball. But Justin Sotomayor was a great quarterback, and we ended up with great receivers. So we did what we can do best, and that was throw the ball. And this year won't be any different. Wherever our strength is offensively, that's what we're going to execute. And that's how we're going to roll. Defensively, I had 2 big corners last year in Rufai Khalifa and Jefferson Davis. I don't have that here. So we're not going to be pressing people every play like we did last year. We'll play more off coverage, some more spot coverage. Last year we did a lot of pattern matching, and it was just based on the fact that I have a 6'3", 220-pound corner that can run with American receivers on one side, and I have another guy that is capable of doing the same thing on the other side. So here's going to be a little bit different. Depending on, I just signed an American defense lineman, Chris Oldham. Based on last year, I had F.A. and Rodon. Once again, F.A.'s last name Overwari. Rodon's last name Zachary. You say it. I had 2 great pass rushers, so we didn't pressure a lot in Vasa last year. We had guys that can get home with only 4. If I have that here, we'll do the same. If not, we'll mix up our pressures and get after people. So it really just depends on the personnel and maximizing their abilities.
So speaking of personnel a little bit more, are there any players that you've seen so far that you're like, well, man, this guy is going to be a star on this team? Just throw out a couple of names for us.
I mean, I'm gonna preface this with let me not butcher my Turkish guys' names, but there's some guys that. But we just finished. They just finished. I should say I didn't coach. The national team just finished playing. They lost to Serbia by a touchdown. In that game, I believe we had 14 players. Our defensive line is going to be pretty good. We have Fatih Karaka. Once again, Fatih, I apologize. He's a young guy with a lot of ability, really explosive. I would say he's about 265 pounds, but just as fast as all of our receivers. He's a real special type of athlete. And then we have a veteran guy, Orhun. I'm not going to even try Orhun's last name. I'm not going to even butcher it. But he's a veteran guy, also started on the national team. Tanner Ongun. He was the defensive captain of the national team. He's going to play a similar position that I had Stacey Thomas playing for me last year in Vasa, who, as you know, if you followed us last year, he played a key role in our defense. Offensively, we have Taha Chokador. I'm sorry, Taha, but I believe he's the best running back in Turkey right now. And then we have a couple of offensive linemen, Tuan Kung Fu Panda, as I call him. It's a term and endearment. And then we have Big Dennis, our left tackle. I think they're elite offensive linemen in Turkey. And then our receivers, we have a lot of depth at receivers. Right now, I think teams in Turkey are developing better than they have in the past. still, I think there's a gap between us and other teams, but a lot of top players have joined our team. As you see in most countries with underdeveloped football, the top team, which we are here in Turkey, some of the national team players from other teams start to join the top team, and we're starting to see that. And so we have a few national team players I have not seen personally play, but they're supposed to be really talented guys. And so, sorry guys for the pronunciation of your names, but yeah, those are the guys so far.
All right, Coach. We appreciate you talking to us today on the Podium Live. I'm not going to steal the rest of your day, man, but we wish you nothing but the best out there in Turkey. Hopefully, later on in the season, maybe you'll be able to pronounce some of these guys' names a little bit better.
Yeah.
Flag on them.
Yeah. And the last thing, though, like just for all the players in Turkey, you know, the door is open. You know, we're playing international. We're looking to play high competition. Any teams actually right now, we're looking for an opponent to play in March, and we're able to cover a lot of the costs for the team to come here to play us. We're looking for more competition in international play. Right now, we're set to play CFL again, but we're looking for one more high-level opponent outside of that. And if you're a Turkish player and you got some talent and you're looking to play against the best teams in Europe, Coach Rams is where you need to be.
All right. Y'all heard the plug right here on the podium. You want the best teams in Turkey, you go to the Coach Rams with Coach John Alexander Booker. That's his full government, in case y'all didn't know, man.
Hey, I'm going to find out your middle name, and I'm gonna shout it out every time we talk.
Right? Full government. Well, that's it for us today on the Podium Live. You know, guys, if you want to play American football anywhere in the world, sign up. I think the link is here. I'm trying to point to it on the screen. It's tough, but it's on the screen. Podium Live. Appreciate you guys having us. We'll be here every week, every Tuesday and Thursday, and we'll see you next time. Appreciate having you on, Coach.
All right, no problem. See ya.